Welcome to week 5. We are looking into adding some style to our web page this week. And so let's take a look at how we implement the CSS file into an HTML page. So first of all, this is the result of what the requirements are for the assignment this week. We've got chapters 7 and 8 in our textbook that you want to look into, paying attention specifically to any of the code and noticing the difference between when you're looking at an HTML file versus the CSS file. So chapter 7 talks through including the CSS or the style definitions, the style rules within the HTML file itself. And then chapter 8 gets into specifically creating an external file with the .css extension instead of the .html extension, and that includes only the style definitions. And then within the HTML page, we'll call in that CSS file using a link statement to bring that code actually into the page as it renders. So then it'll include those style definitions within the code, and we can apply those styles within the body of our HTML. So let's take a look at what's in store for us with the assignment itself. Looking at a couple different things, the style sheet and the definitions found within the style sheet that you're going to create are actually you can kind of think of it as a dictionary. So those are your understanding of what you want the font to look like. So do we want the font style, the font size, the font type, any highlighting, left justified, right justified. We can incorporate a lot of different things within the definitions that we include in the CSS. So that's like our dictionary. We are defining how we want to see each of our styles. Then when we use those styles or apply those styles within our HTML tags, it's basically saying, okay, because I'm telling you to do so, grab the style that I defined for this particular class or ID and apply that to the following text or image or content, whatever we choose to do within that HTML page. So it's that combination of defining the style and then applying the style that is going to get us the results that we're looking for. One of the things that we're going to continue on with is the folder structure and keeping our folders very organized. And so I ask that you create a new folder within your main folder named CSS. So within the main folder, you're going to have your images folder and your CSS folder, and then you're going to see all of your files, your HTML files within that main folder. The CSS file, I ask that you name that mystyle.css and save that to the CSS folder. And then you're going to define some styles that however you want to do it, so everybody's going to be a little bit different. We're including a hyperlink, a relative hyperlink within the HTML file to that CSS file, incorporating or applying the style with div sections, and then the class and identifying the class. We can also incorporate those styles into a p tag, and I'll show you a couple different ways that you can include that style within the different sections. If you added a background image, make sure that it's saved to the image folder and uploaded. Make sure you're testing and debugging your pages, so troubleshooting those errors to get those out of the way. And then always making sure you're uploading or transferring your files via FileZilla to the whole space, and keeping intact that same folder structure. So you're going to have those HTML files within that main folder. You're going to have the CSS folder with your CSS file. You're going to have the images folder with the images in there. So let's take a look. The actual grading elements are listed below. So let's take a look at the code. I've got it opened up in Coffee Cup. So here we go, and I've got here my main folder, and I've got a CSS folder. I already have a style sheet in there, so we're going to see that. I've got an images folder with some images included in that, and then in my main folder I have my HTML pages. So the HTML file for this week, I just named it PWR 673 Week 5 because that was applicable to the content that I included in that web page. And so with this, let me just resize this so it fits in here. So with this HTML, it's only the HTML code within here. Okay, so I've got the proper HTML structure with the HTML tag, my head section, the title, my body section, which includes all of the content that I want to see on the HTML as an audience member on the web page. And then you'll notice I've got my hyperlink to a style sheet, so a little bit different syntax there because we see the relationship of style sheet included. And then I have saved my style sheet in my CSS folder. So if I notice the file structure, I'm going from PWR 673 Week 5, which is up here, into a folder named CSS, so that's this one here, and rendering my file named mystyle.css. So that's important that links up properly and we give the browser the appropriate directions. So that's going to pull in everything I've got in that style sheet into the page upon render when we actually view the page in the browser. So let's take a look at the style sheet. So when we create one of these, you're going to do File, New CSS Page, and then save it under your CSS folder. And notice that it's only our definitions. So you'll want to take a look at chapters 7 and 8 to see what some style definitions look like. And then only those are included in this style sheet. And that is because when I do this link, it basically takes a copy of what I've got in my style sheet and puts it right here within the head section. So it's going to do that automatically when I render the page in my browser. And so that is an external style sheet. So I defined the color, the font family, and the font size for my paragraphs. I defined a different font family and font size and color for the body of my page. And then I have two different backgrounds. and that is per the instructions within the assignment. And so I use the RGB and the RGBA in order to define the color structure, so the red, green, blue aspect. And then you'll notice that we want to include transparency within that background. And so referencing page 184, 185, 186, 187 for colors and transparency, and that'll help you with this. So making sure that syntax within each of these style definitions is exact so the browser can understand what we're telling it. This 0.6 means that I'm going to have 40% transparent, so it's 60% of the color and then the rest is transparency. The 0.4 is 40% of this color and the rest is transparency, so it's 60% transparent. Okay, so now let's look to see what I've got. I've got a P, so the paragraph tag, my body tag. I've got a dot background 1 and a dot background 2. So let's take a look at the HTML. So everywhere I see the body, I'm going to have this style applied. And everywhere I see a P, so all the content in here, I'm going to have this style take over. Okay, and then the background, these are classes because they've got a dot in front of them. And so I need to specify which class I want associated with a particular region. Okay, so here I've got a div tag that's just a section. And within that section I want class of background 1. So I have to spell this exactly character for character that I have it included here. And then that's in quotations, there's a space in between, and then I've got an end div. So this background is going to surround all of this content here. And then this background, background 2, is going to surround all of the content within this div section. So let's take a look again at how that renders, and I've got the one style applied to the whole body, so that's kind of that burgundy color. What did I do? Bookman old style, I think. No, the tribute for the body, and then the Bookman old style for my paragraphs. So I had a paragraph here because of the paragraph tags. I had another one here and another one here. And then the pink background is background 1 and the purple is background 2. So let's go back into the code and see that I added the class. I added a class to the H1 tag up here. I added a class to this div tag. So you can apply a class to different tags. So when you had the article and footer main sections that you added in week 2, now you can add style to those particular sections within your HTML page. Alright, so just a brief overview of what's in store for you this week. Again, when you are going to upload everything to your website, make sure you're including all of the files that you need, so all of the HTML pages, your CSS folder with the CSS file, and your images folder with the images files if you changed anything there. And then as you troubleshoot, you'll make the changes on your computer, retest on your computer in your browser, and then re-upload everything. So you're going to overwrite just like you have been, and retest in your browser. So have fun with this one, add some nice style to your pages, and let me know if you've got any questions.